Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right. Let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see. What we got? A tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger. Down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here. You cleared land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep your airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the down ones. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're cleared line.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be chit-chatting with you.
I'm going to check out first a little bit of footage.
And I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there, go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello. Hello. Hello and welcome to this Thursday night's live stream. It's going to be packed tonight. We've got loads and loads of stuff. We've got some really important stuff coming up, including the weather for Monday, the all-important Monday. But before we get to that, I just wanted to give you a quick update on Fly Alive, which is going absolutely fantastically. We are being supported by Bose, Bristol Ground School, in no particular order this is, Mistral Aviation, Pooley's, Garmin, Cirrus, Leading Edge Aviation, U Avionics, British Gliding Association, not the Bristol Gliding Association. Cambrai Covers, Close Brothers, Custom Air Covers, Heliair, RGV, Sky Demon, TAE Aerospace, the LAA, Trig Avionics, Ultimate High, VisiCover, Yaesu, Covered Insurance, and Oshino Lamps, and plenty more. If you're in the aviation business and your name wasn't there, you need to get in touch with us quickly and find out how you can get involved. Anyway, enough of that. Oh, yeah. Plus, actually, I say enough of that. One more thing. Sorry. We're putting some great prizes together with exhibitors like Pooley's, Bose, and Garmin. You can guess what the prizes are going to be, but there's going to be some stonking prizes to be won throughout the week. So come and join us for that April 12th to April 16th. Now, I'm sure you've didn't really tune in for listen to me telling you about that. You've really come to find out about the weather. So let me bring on the person we know as the Shirt, Simon Keeley.
I'm glad you said the shirt very clearly there, in. Evening all, how are we?
Very well, Simon, how are you?
Good, yeah, all well, thanks. Looking forward to flying on Monday, perhaps. I guess you want to know about the weather, don't you?
Well, you're the man that can make it happen.
Let me. Are you ready with the charts?
I've got them ready in. Are you ready to see them? Because here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so this is a Saturday. Those of you lucky enough to be flying on Saturday, that actually looks to be a decent sort of day. Weak ridge of high pressure building in. You see that little N shape that's in the isobars there? That's a weak ridge, and that's going to be bringing mostly flyable conditions, maybe some low cloud, perhaps affecting western coast of Scotland. Elsewhere, base is about 2,500 to 3,500 feet, so looking pretty good. But watch that front out towards the west of Ireland. That brings some rain, it brings some low cloud with it, and I think that by Sunday, that's going to be across the country. Now, isobars close together, it means it's going to be a windier day Sunday. Western coast, southern coast, probably clagged up by some low cloud and drizzle, and some more persistent rain affecting western parts of Scotland, also the west of Ireland, probably parts of northwest England as well. Eastern parts of England tending to fare better. Bases there about 3,000 feet, but gusts are going to be up at about 35 to 40 knots pretty widely across the country on Sunday, so quite a breezy one. So here we go then, the all-important day. This is what you've been waiting for, and that's what it looks like. It's a pretty windy day, I have to say. It's going to be the keenest of us who fly on Monday. Isobars close together again, indicating it's going to be a windy day. That trailing front, bit of uncertainty over exactly where it is, but it looks like northern England, southern Scotland, northern Ireland as well, probably going to be in lower cloud, 12 to 1,500 foot bases with that, tops at about 10,000 feet. Scotland looks better, some showers in the west, eastern area seeing higher bases, but even there I think it's flying for the brave. For the central and southern parts of England, yes, it's fair, but it is going to be gusty winds. Bases away from western and southern coasts where they will be quite low with some drizzle at times. Bases inland, we're looking at around about the 3,000 to 4,000 foot level, but those are the gust width for Monday. And where it's orange is 40 knots plus, where it's red is 50 knots plus. So you see there, it is going to be quite a windy day. Probably not the baptism you want for getting back into the air, but don't be too disheartened by that, because things do improve during the course of the week. Now, Tuesday and Wednesday across the south looking a bit damp. Scotland probably a bit better for flying, I think, on Tuesday and Wednesday. Can you fly in Scotland on Tuesday, Wednesday? Not too sure, but it looks okay. But this is Thursday. High pressure building in from the west on Thursday. It looks a much better day. And that final part of the week into next weekend are looking like bringing higher bases, better visibility, and lighter winds as well. So if you're feeling brave, probably Monday, but for those of us of a slightly more peaceful disposition, I think later in the week he's looking a little bit better. It's not too bad, really. You give it a 6 out of 10, I would say. And then for those of us who can fly on the 12th of April, of course, that's the next date, long way away. This is how things look for the 12th of April. This is the one I'm interested in. Ridge of high pressure building in the south, front passing across the north. So again, probably with a westerly flow, western coast looking like lower cloud, perhaps some drizzle at times, but more inland and eastern areas are looking better, and it looks like lighter winds as well. So for dual flying and taking passengers, that's not a bad chart either. It could be a lot worse than that. Now, if that's whetted your appetite for weather and you want to know more about forecasting it yourself, get along to Aviation Weather School. My next course is on the Saturday mornings of the it says April. It's not. It's the 15th and the 22nd of May. That one is full. You can't book on that one. 15th and 22nd of May. So go to weatherschool.co.uk to book your place now. Enjoy your flying if you get up this week, won't you?
Thank you very much, Simon.
Yeah, I've got to say that given there's going to be a whole load of rusty aviators, a really strong wind, let's maybe just leave it on Monday.
Yeah. I think so. But like I say, it's getting better through the week. All the models back that up as well. So I've got fairly high confidence that final part of next week into next weekend looks the better option. And with a nice northerly flow in there, actually, that's going to be far calmer than that stuff on Monday. Severe turbulence could be a risk on Monday as well. So, it's... Yeah, you make your choices. I know what mine would be.
Thank you very much, Simon. Have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, guys, enjoy. Bye.
Thanks, Simon.
Yeah, Simon.
Bye. Wow. There you go. Well, I guess before we move on to our guest, Kirsty, who I can see in the green room waiting, we need to run through the news. So, who's kicking off the news? I think it's Dave, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Right, so top of the news tonight is that LPV approaches, that's localizer performance with vertical guidance, localizer LPV approaches will end in the UK on the 25th of June. And there's no more EGNOS, that's not to be confused with eggnog. It's been confirmed by the Secretary of State Grant Shapps. The UK has turned down the terms offered by the EU to remain part of the EGNOS project and will seek its own solution. It means the vertical guidance required for an LPV approach will not be legal to use, although it will still be received by your avionics. In turn, that means the decision height for an instrument approach will be higher, which may mean the difference between landing or going around or missed approach. It's a blow for those aerodromes which have gone through or are going through the lengthy and expensive process of having a GPS approach approved. Yeah. And it's also a bit of a nuisance for, well, nuisance isn't quite strong enough a word, for instrument-rated pilots, not just private pilots, but also those commercial pilots flying business jets and other types of serious GA aircraft. Yeah, and I think you've got a bit of a comment on this, haven't you?
Yeah, basically, I kind of my comment is really addressed not at people watching so much, but really at our little regular. Best place in the world for GA. That's the stated aim for Grant Shapps, Robert Courts, and a whole load of other places. Well, let's just have a look at this. I kind of think best place in the world for GA. Why not? Let's have that ambition. But if you're going to start by getting rid of, by not having EGNOS, by losing LPV, that's kind of not a great start, particularly for those of you who've seen the CA virtual voyage this week, and we'll come back to that later. You saw Robert Courts, the aviation minister, saying that he wanted the UK to be the best place in the world for general aviation, and we've made some progress with GNSS approaches. Sure, we've got, 17, 18, perhaps more, I haven't counted them, airfields with GNS approaches, with LPV approaches even, some of them who've invested, collectively invested millions in getting all this stuff done in and approved, just to have the rug yanked from beneath them for frankly, just political reasons. It just makes no sense whatsoever. Come on, and I have to say as well, and this is addressed to most of the people watching, I'm constantly surprised. There are a lot of people who say, well, it doesn't really affect me. It does. Yeah, it does. If you're not flying instrument approaches, it doesn't affect you. But it's one piece of new technology that was coming in, that was replacing ground-based systems, that was putting approaches onto the end of a huge number of runways that weren't there before. The CA came in and then sport it all by having some ridiculous, you have to book that slot. Yes, it's only available from 11:30 till 11:45 on the third Wednesday of the month, and you can't use it for training. You can't do all of that rubbish, not like the rest of the world. Come on, my little regulators. Let's sort of just put politics to one side, which I know is asking a lot, and just help make the UK the best place in the world for general aviation. Anyway, next story. That's me done on that. Ed, I believe that's you, isn't it?
It's me. I wonder whether we're going to see the return of ADF approaches.
No.
I need to go to a museum to dig out my old ADF, see if it still works.
Yeah, it could be. It could be the new piece of avionics coming up. Anyway, some autogyro news of a German gyrocopter manufacturer. Autogyro has reached agreement with its shareholders and the administrator to continue to manufacture and sell complete aircraft and spare parts. This is great news. Autogyro are one of the biggest gyro manufacturers, and they've had strong sales, but clearly it fell on difficult times. The company has done some restructuring, and they've said there's no job losses, and they're saying they now have a solid path to the future. They've been busy in the first 3 months of 2021. They've completed 16 aircraft and a whole bunch of parts, all which have been sent all around the world. It's good news because they make the Cavalon, the Caldius, and really, really nice bits of kit. So would have been a shame to see them go.
Yeah.
Good that they're still here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Talking of the future, Johnny.
Yes. So Aura Aero, who you've probably heard of, we've spoken of them before, the French company behind the Integral two-seater aerobatic aircraft. They've just announced production of an electric 19-seat regional airliner, which is quite a jump in product size. The company have apparently upcycled a 3,500 square meter site at Toulouse-Francazal Airport, which used to be the Armée de l'Air's first hangar, apparently. And they're developing this regional transport called the ERA, the Electric Regional Aircraft. And it's scheduled to perform its first flight in 2024, with an entry to service plan for 2026. And also later this year, the Integral S, which is the tricycle version of the spicy-looking aerobatic aircraft, should make its first flight. And the Integral E, which is the electric-powered version, should take to the air next year.
When has anyone ever described an aeroplane as spicy-looking?
Just now.
You heard it here first.
Yes.
Yeah. There's got to be some big money, government money, grant money
There
somewhere
is.
in there.
Is it me, or does that look like a big sky van?
I don't know.
No, I don't think it looks like a big sky van, but they've got a lot of money from the local region. France is very, very good at doling out cash from the regions to projects, and they've done a great job down there. Toulouse has become
that conversation. So you've made a 2-seat aerobatic aircraft. How about a 6 electric engine 19-seat regional airliner? Yeah,
sounds good.
That.
Yeah,
sounds good.
we're on it.
How much?
30 million.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I think that's me next. Having just a little chat about the CAA Virtual Voyage Roadshow this week. I don't want to be too negative about the CAA Virtual. No, I don't. I mean, it was an hour and a half, I think, wasn't it? Half 4 till 6 or something. An hour and a half, and top marks to the CAA for coming on doing it. Top marks for putting it on. What did I think of it? I'm still kind of thinking about what I think of it, really, to be honest with you. There was some good stuff at the beginning. There was a kind of a bit of a mention of just culture, but that went away slightly. And I don't think, sadly, the CAA realised the reputational damage that's been done by some of the stuff that's happened over the last year, 18 months. I think they still think that it's all fine, and it isn't. There's a huge amount of repairing to be done there. Then there was a middle section with drones, which spoke about sandbox iterations and all sorts of. It was kind of like one of those management bingo things. For me, it was the least appealing part of it. There was some stuff on EC, and the stuff on EC, electronic conspicuity, was good. And there was a poll that was run, and this kind of, for me, was the most interesting thing. One of the questions in the poll: 95%. 95%. That's a pretty high number. Kind of want some interoperable electronic conspicuity, and you can't really blame them for that, can you?
And to a recognised standard as well.
And to a recognised standard, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that was a pretty strong message there. So I think overall, and I reserve the right to change my mind on this if I think about it a little bit more. But at the moment, my view is, yeah, good start. I think there's a little bit of blinkered vision at the CAA. There's There's a whole bunch of drone stuff which is coming, which needs to be integrated an awful lot better. The one good thing that they did say is they're looking to completely and utterly overhaul flight crew licensing, to take it from the absolute mishmash mess of complexity that we have now and to turn it into a beautiful thing of simplicity where people have their licenses on their phones and it's really easy to understand. And they even said that they'll look at other regulators, including the FAA, to see how they do it and try and take the best practice from everywhere. Now, I've actually heard the CA say we're looking around the world and we'll take best practice from everywhere about 10 years ago. And clearly they haven't quite got round to that. So they do need to move fast on this before the weight of complex regulation just bores everybody to death and gets it right. So good start, but much work to be done. Please try harder. Which gets me to Ingenuity, Dave.
Ingenuity. This is the Mars expedition from NASA. NASA is getting ready to fly this little helicopter, on the surface of Mars. And you can see over on the left-hand side of that picture, there's a Wright Flyer, and some romantic soul at NASA, they're there. Some romantic soul at NASA has taken a little bit of the fabric from the wing of the Wright Flyer and put it on the Ingenuity helicopter. The reason for doing that is because just as the Wright brothers proved that flight was possible on Earth, Ingenuity is there to prove that flight is possible on the surface of Mars, because Mars is a very inhospitable place with not as much gravity as Earth, but not as much atmosphere either. So making something fly is very difficult. So that's supposed to happen sometime after April the 8th. So we get to fly before they do.
That is amazing. Absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Talking about the return to flying, you've got a bit on that, haven't you, Ed?
Before we move on from Ingenuity,
sorry,
yeah.
Ed, did you have something to say about Mars?
I did, yes. So thinking about this, DFT, if you're listening, and on the whole, let's make sure that we don't lose airfields. Maybe we can establish some. Just take note that NASA has established an airfield on Mars. So if you'd like to set up any new airfields in the UK, probably not too challenging in comparison to putting a new flying vehicle on another planet. Anyway, just take your cue there.
There you go. Which leads us nicely into your section on the return to flying, Ed.
Yes. So obviously the virtual voyage had some advice for return to flying, but the CA published its general aviation roadmap out of lockdown, which basically gave advice to pilots about resuming flying activities. In it, they talk about the unprecedented lack of GA activity over the last 12 months, and they advise that, so their advice is, as part of safely resuming GA activity, any GA pilot who has not flown for an extended period of time should take a checkout flight with an instructor before they resume flying as pilot in command, especially if there's any concerns or issues of low confidence about resuming flying. So it's a relatively short document, 2 pages, worth a look. Johnny has posted the link to the document in the comments while I've been talking. Interestingly, in there, it does talk about the fact that there's an exemption coming. They mentioned this in the virtual voyage. Exemptions 1416 and 1418. I think at the moment we've got an exemption until end of April. This is going to be pushed out until the end of July 2021. So there's talk of that happening. They haven't actually, those updates haven't happened yet, but I guess keep an eye and watch for them to be published.
Yep, absolutely. Having seen that weather, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to go flying on Monday, to be perfectly honest.
No.
We'll see. What have we got next?
We've got drones.
Johnny.
So,
here's Johnny.
Another day, another drone company, another temporary danger area. So this time we're looking at one between Portsmouth and the Isle of Wight. And it is, again, the NHS needing urgent supplies. The Leicester-based company called Skylift UAV, which are part of the stealth-styled British Drone Consortium, submitted an application for TDA for a 4-week trial for supplying drugs for chemotherapy. And they've gone for the scenic route, if you can want to flash that picture up again, Ian, instead of a straight line. It's interesting that there are many methods of transport across the Solent, from hovercrafts to yachts to Amazon Prime even, but they have gone for a quite a scenic route. So yeah, what can we say about that?
Are they concerned about flying into the Spinnaker Tower? Maybe.
Quite possibly, it's tall, or maybe it's a Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier.
Maybe
in the way.
Yeah. But I think in that document in their ACP they're talking about they're saying the ferries and the hovercraft not very reliable. But I know a bunch of people have checked all this out, and actually the ferries all seem to be running fine. The hovercraft as well, lots of regular services. So not sure how a drone could do it better and more economically.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings me on to nothing particular, but just a quick mention that you think, hey, it's great. We're going to get some money in aviation. Talking about airfields on Mars, we're going to get, or not we, but Newquay Airport's been given 7.8 million, I think, via the Cabinet Office and some local councils. Fantastic, improving. But it turns out that that's really for the G7 summit, because apparently Newquay Airport couldn't cope with some of the aircraft of some of the world leaders who are flying in. So they're going to spend 7.8 million making it able to cope, which I'm assuming is a very, very wide, very, very deep Union Jack, because that's on trend, shag pile carpet to roll up to all of the aircraft as they come in. But who knows? I mean, maybe it'll be some great facilities for general aviation afterwards at Newquay. So that's coming on there. What else have we got? I think, Dave.
Yeah, there's a bit of news from Piper Aircraft in that their CEO, here he is, Simon Caldicott. He's been CEO for 10 years. He's seen them come out of the financial crash of the late 2000s, and he steered them pretty well, really. He's got them producing trainer aircraft again. He's seen the development of the turboprop, the M class. The M600 is the latest one. And of course, he oversaw Piper certifying what they call HALO, the Garmin emergency landing system. So you should say that he's had a very successful tenure as CEO. And now apparently he's polishing his golf clubs, so we've heard. So,
and he's a super guy, isn't he, Simon?
He is a very nice guy, and of course he went to he's British, and he went to learn aeronautic engineering in Wales.
Huh? Yeah. He was a development engineer and worked on the Hawker Jet as well, and other little name facts apart from working on the Hawker Jet. I do believe his brother Andrew is actually watching tonight. So hello, Andrew, how are you doing? And there's a chance we might get Simon on.
Excuse me.
Simon on to come and tell us all of the secrets of general aviation manufacturing at some point when he's not playing golf or whatever. Excellent. So, one quick pointer for people here, just to kind of falls under the category of useful things. The Civil Aviation Authority will now need you to register on their site on something called what's it called? CELMA, CELLMA. Which is their medical system. So before you go and get a medical, you'll need to register on there. I haven't done it yet. I'll need to do it, but you need 2 pieces of ID and all sorts of things, and it's checked out. So you'll need to get that done before you go get another medical. So go and have a look at it now. Johnny, you're going to tell me about Safety Evening?
Yeah, so on the useful ticket again. So on Monday, 29th of April, that's not too far away, at 7:30, Gasco will be running an exclusive flyer safety evening. So that's for everyone, for club members, for flyer readers, for supporters, for viewers, which could be you. So you can come along and watch that. It's going to be, as I said, live from 7:30. As with all safety evenings, it will run through lots of safety analysis reports and that sort of thing with some experts. But it could well be the penultimate Gasco safety evening. So you want to be part of that. And now I think it is time for the Right Stuff quiz.
There we go. Hello.
Hello, I'm terrified about this.
Well, to be fair, Ian's intro music is always a bit ominous. So
it does sound very ominous.
That's it. So,
it's nice to be here this evening, though.
That's it. So joining us tonight is Kirsty Murphy. Now, Kirsty is one of the advisors for the recently announced World Championship air race. I think I'm right in saying that. And your other half, Ben, is a former Red Bull air racer, and I think he's going to be racing in the new series.
Don't know yet. Fingers crossed.
Maybe you can take a seat.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Flyer live stream, Kirsty. Now it's my job to give all the guests the Flyer Right Stuff quiz questions. Now we had a bit of chat about this earlier, and the guys, and we decided that actually giving you the Right Stuff questions, we looked at your career history, and you go, one person who doesn't need a test to see if they've got the right stuff is you. But anyway, we still decided to give them to you anyway.
Okay.
So with this timer, who knows if that will work this week. We've got 10 quick fire questions in 30 seconds, and he'll start when I read the first one. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Okay, here we go. So, north up or track up?
Oh, north up.
Grass or hard?
Grass.
Patois de France or Frecky Tricolori?
Oh, Frecky.
Glass or steam instruments?
Oh, glass.
Paper chart or tablet?
Oh, tablet.
Tornado or hawk?
Pass. Can't pick.
Oh, no, you ruined my next question, which was that or an extra 300.
Oh, I see. Pass again. I can't pick between them. I've never been able to.
Okay. Go through or around controlled airspace?
Oh, go around it talking to the right person. Oh, sorry, go through it talking to the right person.
Excellent. Scampton or Sywell?
Sywell, it's got a grass runway.
Okay. And side by side or tandem?
Tandem.
Tandem. Excellent. I'll just reintroduce Ian here. Ian, where was your timer? It didn't work.
You're joking.
No. Fail again.
Clearly, when it comes to timers, I've clearly got the wrong stuff. It works in rehearsal all the time, but then never works here. I don't know what the problem
anyway.
is.
Well, anyway, a top score for Kirsty. We will decide.
Kirsty, we're going to give you a top score because it would just be really pompous and awkward of us not to give you a top score. However,
well, thank you. I feel delighted.
We might need to have a private chat about North Up.
That's absolutely
I know
right.
everyone in the comments going to go on about it and say, "Oh yeah, Kirsty's right. Kirsty's right."
Actually, I'll be fair. I can expand slightly. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm on a transit, then I would actually have a track up. But most of my flying is actually not transiting, and I find it much easier to see where I am and keep orientated if it's north up.
Okay, that's you ought to think about joining the diplomatic service.
Right then, we'll leave you with Dave.
Thank you.
So, hi, Kirsty. I'm Dave. I'm here to ask the serious questions, if you like. So,
Hi, Dave.
I did have a quick look at your Twitter account earlier today, and you described yourself as Blades Aerobatic Display Pilot, Events Consultant, Aviation Ambassador, ex-Red Arrows pilot, and of course, you are also now with the Space Agency. And
yes.
I saw a tweet that you've been homeschooling your kids as well. Crikey, that's full on, Kirsty. How do you manage it?
Well, I have to say I don't do all of those things at once. So the Red Arrows have sort of been and gone. I do like to be busy, though. I think that's part of my character. I like to have lots of things going. And to be honest, a lot of the some of the sort of STEM work that I do that has built up especially over the last year, since we've all been stuck to doing everything virtual. It's a nice relief from some of the other stuff that I'm doing. So I like to have a broad range of things, so I'm not just sort of totally focused on just one thing.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning. When you were growing up, when did you know you wanted to be a pilot and join the RAF?
So when I was 11, when I was at secondary school, I went to a boarding school because my dad was in the Air Force. So the chances were he was on the Tornado GR1, and the chances were he was either going to be posted to Marham or go to Germany. So rather than me be sort of uprooted from my school at some point, my parents put me into a boarding school as a sort of insurance policy. And in the summer holidays, I'd spend time around my dad's squadron. And I loved it. I mean, I just absolutely loved it. And it was being part of a family. The guys were brilliant. They really sort of made me feel part of the squadron. I used to help plan the trips with them. And then I'd go into their traffic control tower and watch them go flying. I'd maybe talk to them on the radio and then sort of sit in the debriefs afterwards. And I really loved the atmosphere on the squadron. So the banter, the fun, the camaraderie, the feeling part of something. But then I was always really impressed, and I loved the way they sort of snapped out of it and became super professional, super sharp when they needed to. And that was what attracted me to the Air Force. But back then, they didn't have female fast jet pilots. So I had this idea I wanted to join the Air Force, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in it. And then 2 years later, so when I was 13, they let girls be, or females be, fast jet pilots. And it was literally, in my lovely, naive 13-year-old way, I thought, well, perfect, that's what I'll go and do then. I'll go and be a fast jet pilot.
Yes. You flew the Tornado GR4, and you really liked that aircraft, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a super aircraft, actually. I mean, it's very different to the Hawk, which is much more of I would describe it as a sports car. So in terms of a fast jet, the Tornado is fast, goes in a straight line really well, doesn't turn brilliantly, but it's a great platform for what it's there to do. In terms of actually flying, the capacity I spent flying the aircraft was minimal, so I could really focus on the mission that was in hand, all the tactics and all the other stuff going on around me. So it was a brilliant aircraft to fly. And my dad had flown the earlier version, so I flew the GR4 and he had flown as a navigator in the GR1. And so I think there was something nice about that circle of life, if you like.
Yeah. How was it being the first female Red Arrows pilot?
I get asked that question quite a bit. And if I'm in a presentation, I have a slide and it's of all the aircraft lined up, and you can just sort of see the noses in the cockpits. There are 9 aircraft. And I say, this is what it was like being a girl in the Red Arrows. You didn't know who I was. Put that helmet on, get into that cockpit, and it doesn't matter who's male or female or 6 foot tall or 3 foot short, whatever. None of that matters. All that matters is how good are you at your job, and how good are you right now? What is your performance level right now? So in terms of flying and that side of things, it was just a continuation of my job. A lot of the guys I'd worked with, who were on the team at the time, I'd worked with previously on different squadrons, so they were used to me, I was used to them, and it just wasn't a big deal. The big deal was being the Red Arrows. The big deal wasn't me being a girl in the Red Arrows. Obviously, when I came into contact with the public, it was quite a different story, and I still get surprised by the sort of reaction to me getting out an aircraft, and I can hear those words, oh my God, it's a girl, that kind of comment. Because I've been doing it for so long now, it just seems second nature. So yeah, the public perception and obviously the media interest in it was quite extreme. But in terms of actually on a day-to-day basis, just getting on with the job, my experience of the Red Arrows was exactly the same as everybody else's.
Right. So these days you're an ambassador for aviation. So what does that mean? What do you do?
Yeah, so I was asked at the back end of 2019 to be an aviation ambassador for GA, and I was a bit dubious. I wasn't quite sure what they wanted out of me, but do you know what? It's been such a satisfying experience. Really, the aim is to make aviation more accessible to everybody. And the bit that I'm most interested in and really passionate in is young people, and raising their aspirations and making them realise that aviation is an industry that there is a place for them. And you don't have to be a pilot to be involved in the aviation industry. The jobs are huge in terms of breadth. But what's been brilliant about it is through that, the DFT give funding to certain charities and organisations, which I then have been more in contact with. So I work with 3 organisations in particular. So first of all, something called Employers and Education, and they run a campaign called Inspiring the Future. And this is literally just to put schools, state schools, in direct contact with inspiring people who can tell their story about their work story. This is not their life story. This is all about work. And they also have an arm which looks at research. And through them, I've discovered that for a young person, by the time they're 16, if they've had four meaningful interactions with an employer, they are 75% less likely to be NEET, which is not in education, employment or training. So basically, jobless and without probably many prospects for the future. So if I can provide one of those 4, that makes a big difference to somebody somewhere out there, and a big difference to me that I'm making a difference. So I work with them, and I just talk to schools really about how I got in the Air Force and some of my ups and downs in my career. And then there's 2 other organisations I work with. One is STEMettes, and if you've never heard them and you have a daughter, get them to look them up. So they are what I would describe as a disruptive organisation, showing girls that girls do STEM, basically. but it's run by a much younger generation of group of women. And so when I go, I'm the old woman out of the group, which is always quite funny. And they're brilliant. The events that they organise are so appealing to young people because they are designed by people who are just closer to that age bracket. So they're fantastic. And then my third organisation are my friends at Fly to Help. So I've been working with them, and they run programs. So they've got it's a charity, and they run their Air Smiles days. The bit I'm really interested in is their Aim High, which is where they're looking to raise aspirations of young people by showing them what is out there in the aviation industry. So I've done some sort of talks for them in their half term and their holiday programs that they run for the young children, young people. So all three of those, very, very passionate about them. And I can talk about them for the next half an hour if you want, but I will shut up.
What's your role in the new World Championship air race? It's going to be launching here.
Yeah, it's really exciting, actually. So WeCar is going to start off pretty much as what we all know and love as the Red Bull Air Race. And they asked me if I'd get involved. They saw all the work I've been doing, all the STEM and the outreach work. And this is really exciting for me because, of course, it goes beyond the borders. It goes, out around the world. And the idea is that WeCar is not going to be just about the air racing. They want to use the sort of magnetism, if you like, of air racing to inspire and excite the generation or the future workforce for aviation around the world as well. So they've got some really great ideas about how they can do that in terms of working with local schools and colleges before the event and having some kind of STEM project maybe. And then on the actual event, so previously Red Bull Air Race was a sort of weekend event. Well, now on the Friday, there's going to be a kind of STEM event and invite those schools and universities in to have a bit of a backstage pass and really get to see behind the scenes, which is really exciting for an air race. And it will be very special for those young people able to do that. And also a legacy. They're going to leave behind a legacy of scholarships for in all the host cities that they visit. So being part of that and being able to sort of give advice on what I've learned over the last few years is really exciting.
That sounds really good. So thanks, Kirsty. We've got one final question, and I'm sure everybody out there is dying to know your answer, which is, are you looking forward to the Top Gun sequel, Maverick, as much as we are?
Of course I am. When I give my presentation and I say, why did you get into, people ask me, why did you get into the Air Force? And I have a lovely slide of me and my dad leaning against the edge of a GR4 simulator when I flew a minute. And I say, this is why I got in the Air Force. And then I click onto the next slide and there's a picture of Tom Cruise in his cockpit. And I say, and this is the other reason why I got in the Air Force.
That's great. Thanks very much, Kirsty. It was
Thank you.
Lovely interview with you.
Brilliant. Thank you. That was great. Thank you very much. Hopefully we're going to just pop you into the green room for a little bit and then bring you back soon and hear your record-breaking choice of an aeroplane for Fantasy Hangar.
Excellent. So it's time. So for Fantasy Hangar, as Kirsty's been talking about air racing, we decided to pick our favourite racing aircraft to go in the Fantasy Hangar aircraft collection. Dave, I think you're first.
Blimey, I've only just stopped talking. So I've chosen this. It's the Percival Mew Gull, as flown by Alex Henshaw. Heavily modified, it won the 1936 King's Cup race at 236.5 miles an hour. So it has credentials as an air racer. But it was Henshaw's incredible flight from London to Cape Town and back. In 4 days, 10 hours and 16 minutes. It's a record that stood for more than 70 years. And if you've read his book, Flight of the Mew Gull, you realise it was just a fantastic episode in everything. Little known fact to me, the aircraft pictured here is now part of the Shuttleworth collection, but it spent World War II hidden in France. It was brought back after the war, refurbished before going on to win another King's Cup race. So that's my choice.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty good.
Stunning airplane.
Yeah, if you ever read, if you read Alex Henshaw's tale of making that flight, I think he had a whole bunch of maps from what would have been around at the time, which were the Shell route maps, and he just had this huge stack of them, which he kind of went through in the cockpit. He also famously tore a nail off in the flight, and had quite a big bleeding incident. And he arrived at one of his destinations, and it looked like he'd had this fight in the cockpit.
He probably, to be fair to everyone out there who's probably complaining in the comments, he probably did that whole trip north up with all those maps.
Probably.
But if he'd have had a tablet, he would have done it track up.
If you think about London to Cape Town and Cape Town to London, it's just south there, north back, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah. I wonder if I'm not sure a Mughal has got an iPad charging socket, has it?
No.
I wouldn't have thought so.
No.
How does it fly then?
Well, without an iPad.
Impossible.
So difficult. Who's next?
All right,
Johnny.
it's me.
Johnny, what have you gone for?
Unlike Dave, I've gone for something where you can sort of see over the nose. It's the Chiltern DW1. It first flew in 1937. It's not got the biggest engine. It's not the fastest, but it is gorgeous in my opinion. Single seat, open cockpit, looks fantastic. Top speed of when it was first built, 112 miles an hour. It's very pretty. 4 were originally built, and they all survived the Second World War. One of them broke the 100-kilometer international closed circuit record with a speed of 124 miles per hour at Lympne Airfield in 1947. And the last 3 were flown in UK air races for several years. And they actually cleaned up and won the Daily Express air race at Shoreham in 1951 with a staggering speed of 129 miles per hour. So not the quickest, but in my opinion, gorgeous.
Very, very nice. I love a Chiltern.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to either of those two, although I don't think I'd fit in either of them either. So I went for something slightly bigger, a Grosvenor House, DH-88 Comet. 6 of these were built, but 3 of them were built for the England to Australia air race, which left Marham, I think. Marham and ended up in Melbourne.
Mildenhall.
Sorry?
Mildenhall, I think.
I know it began with an M somewhere.
Yeah.
Mildenhall. And so Grosvenor House won with a time, what was it, 70 hours, 54 minutes? Which flying time, obviously, which is pretty damn impressive. They were sold, the 3 of them that were sold to the private entrants in the race, a discounted price of £5,000 each, which is going to be a bit of a bargain. Cruises 190 knots, 19,000 feet. I just think it looks gorgeous, and you haven't got to cram yourself into that little space and break your nails off, have you? So there you go. That was my version.
Gorgeous aeroplane, but apparently not very pilot friendly.
Well, the record-breaking airplanes often aren't, are they?
No, I spoke to someone at Shuttleworth who said anything other than with the chocks in, it will try and kill you.
Probably about right.
Yeah.
Which just leaves me.
Talking of airplanes that will try and kill you.
Exactly. Yeah. So I went for this. So the GB Model Z. So this is just for me. This is classic racer. I look at it. It's just magnificent looking. So in 1931, July 1931, the Granville brothers decided they'd build an aircraft to compete in that autumn's Thompson Trophy. They did it in 5 weeks at a cost of under $5,000. That's about £60,000 today. And basically they said, right, let's take the biggest engine we can get our hands on and put it on the smallest possible airframe. They did it, and they came up with this, and first flew... when did it first fly? In August 22nd of 31. It flew. What people say about it was exactly right. You know, it was really tricky to handle, but everything they entered it in, it won. Lowell Bales, who was the pilot for it, clocked 267 miles an hour at the National Air Races. Went on to win the Goodyear Trophy race. The engineer flew it and won another trophy. Bales then flew it in the Thompson Trophy race. He won that and beat Jimmy Doolittle. And this is all in a fairly short period of time. This is like 12, 16 weeks. They then decided they'd set a speed record with it, found a bigger engine, which they put on it. And that unofficially clocked 314 miles an hour. Unfortunately, when they actually timed it and they made the runs, it developed flutter in the ailerons, and a wing came off, and poor old Lowell Bales was killed. So a perfect replica was built, though, in the 90s by Kevin Kimball and Jeff Eicher. And that aeroplane is owned by Kermit Weeks now. It's absolutely stunning if you see it in the flesh. Interestingly, Kermit decided, probably wisely, to have it flutter tested. And they did discover that it's prone to flutter over 240 miles an hour.
Don't want to do that.
No, but GB. I think, though, looking at the comments, probably Ian's Comet could be a winner.
I'll take that. We haven't had Kirsty's entry yet.
That's true. Kirsty, what would be your choice?
So I have to say, guys, I think you got the wrong blade into this because you should have had McZ, who's a total aviation geek, and he would be able to talk for hours about different race aircraft. But it kind of goes without saying, since the Blades has a Blades racing team, that I'm going to pitch the Edge 540. The reason being for me is I'd seen it in photos, and then when I actually saw it in real life with the Blades paint scheme on it, and that Ben's little wingtips on it as well, which droop down, which are really unusual compared to everyone else's, and this tiny little kind of strip for him to be able to see out of in the cockpit. It's so sleek, but it's so mean. And in the flesh, it looks 10 times better than even in any photo. So for me, I'm afraid it's so close to home, my Edge 540. That particular one, though.
Do you get to sneak off and fly it, though, Kirsty?
Well, technically I could, but it's NREG, so basically Ben keeps all of the hours for himself, which I understand.
He's hidden the keys, then.
Yeah, basically. Well, actually, it's in pieces in a hangar at the minute, obviously, but soon to be put back together again.
Out of interest, have you got a family aeroplane?
No, we don't. We would absolutely love one, but right now it's probably not ideal with the family.
Okay, if you could have anything,
haven't taken my son flying yet, and he's 5 years old, and I really need to do that soon.
Yeah, if you could have any family wagon, what would it be?
Oh God, now you're putting me on the spot. I don't know. We have conflicting ideas about this because I feel like it would be nice to have something aerobatic still, and then Ben comes up with these ideas that we could use it to go skiing, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not transiting across to the south of France in something uncomfortable like what we fly at work. So I genuinely we never decide on one. We don't really know what we'd want it for. Too many things.
You're going to need more than one aeroplane then.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe we need a fleet. I hadn't thought of that. That's a much better idea.
There we go.
What was the aerobatic Bonanza? Was it 33C or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That would work.
There you go. That'll work. Yeah.
There we go.
Kids, hold on to the seats.
As long as they're cheaper than that 75k. What was it, Cessna? That was that people were talking about on the chat earlier.
That's true. Yeah. There we go. Well, good choice. Anyway, we're going to stick you back in the green room. We'll get you back at the end.
Thank you. So, Dave.
Oh, that was right, me. Sorry. I was listening to Kirsty. Nothing on events. There's nothing before 17th of May, really, apart from Fly Alive, of course. But after that, things get going. We'll be adding events to the website as they come in. There's already a bunch up there, so you can check that. If you are an event organizer, please let us know, and we'll get it on the website and talk about it in weeks to come. I can confirm that Spanfield, the microlight event at Sandown, is going ahead for the 28th to the 30th of May. That's where a bunch of microlights from all over the country fly in, drink beer, eat burgers, and Dan's great food at Sandown, and then camp. That's an interesting thing to do. So, Johnny, over to you on the club.
Yeah, so with flying just around the corner, it's a great time to join the Fly Club and make use of our monthly free landing vouchers, as well as Simon's twice weekly weather broadcasts. Just head to flyer.co.uk and look for the Fly Club tab at the top of the screen. It's currently just £7.50 a month, which is great value. And if you start using those landing fees, you'll pay for it in no time at all. Now, as we've already mentioned, the Gasco Safety Evening is on Monday evening, so anyone can join. If you head to the Flyer website, there is a news story there where you can register to be part of that safety evening, and it will also be emailed out to everybody tomorrow, so keep an eye out in your inboxes. And for club members who missed out on Dave White's webinar the other day on going foreign, That's available to catch up through the same link that it was broadcast on. So if you've got the email, just have a look in there, click the link, and you can rewatch Dave's really fascinating talk on flying into Europe. So Ed, I think we've got a few bits on the magazine.
Before I say that, Johnny, Steve Middleton would like to remind you, Flyer Club membership currently £7.50 a quarter, as did Tim Cook.
£7.50 a quarter.
They're on it.
They're on it.
One quick heads up. In the series of club member webinars, there's one coming up on April the 9th, which is Nigel Webb going to be talking all about airframe icing. So if you've got an IMC rating, this will be or an instrument rating, or you're just interested, it'll be a great seminar all about airframe icing, which is scary stuff. Not ideally, scary.
No,
Ed,
nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
So, quick issue reminder. The May issue has been out for just over a week. Obviously, that features the amazing Rolls-Royce XL project, which is an electric-powered aircraft hoping to beat 300 miles an hour. There's a plan to try and set a speed record this coming spring. A guide to using iPads in the cockpit. A fantastic ferry flight to the Falkland Islands in a brand new Britten-Norman Islander. Plus all the regular columnists, news, and if you're, as Johnny said, if you're a Flyer Club member, there's 6 great free landing fees. So check that out. If you haven't seen it already, it's free to read on issue, and you'll find the links on flyer.co.uk.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our new feature and our final feature, which we've nicked from the magazine. So this is Welcome to QSY. QSY is just that kind of part of the live stream where we all we chuck a few bits and pieces that we've seen that didn't really fit anywhere else. So I'm going to kick off with that. So I've been listening to this podcast this week. So if you're looking for a podcast recommendation, look up this one, Fly By Night. Basically, it's a podcast, stories of America's drug smuggling pilots and the people who chase them. Great little podcast. The pilots of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when they're all flogging around in DC-4s or twin Cessnas and stuff like that. Could probably do with a bit more aviation in it for us pilots, but otherwise it's free to download. So go download that and have a listen. Dave, I think you've got a bit of a ass of a story for us.
Very good. Well, you remember Polly Vasher, the pilot who flew around the world in a Piper Dakota, and also around the UK doing various things. Well, she's off on a different kind of trip this summer, a 200-mile donkathon. Yes, Polly has 2 donkeys, Wizard and Muffin. She's hitched them to a trap, and she'll be trekking from Oxfordshire, where she lives, to North Wales at an average of 2.5 miles an hour, with 27 stops, all in aid of multiple sclerosis. And if you want to contribute, you can go to her website, donkathon, donkathon.org.
Well done, Dave.
Well done, Dave.
It would be great to see her driving those with her famous orange flight suit.
Yeah, it would. She should be wearing it, absolutely.
There's still time, Polly.
Yeah.
Ed.
Yeah.
It's me. Yes. So if you've been contemplating a change of career, maybe I have the job advert for you. So spotted today. We're on the Lockheed Martin jobs board. So U-2 test pilot based at Palmdale in California. Now, I know you're wondering, what benefits will I get? Well, the good news is it comes with paid time off and medical care. The kind of bad things, if you want this job, you're going to need 300 hours on a U-2 already. Plus, you're going to need top secret security clearance. So obviously, a little bit of a hurdle there. However, if you qualify for any of those, maybe go applying for that. The nice thing is you get to say you work for the Skunk Works, though I'm sure most people, if they're not educated, will think that that's some kind of animal rescue.
Did you see you only need a Class 2 medical for that job?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Class 2 medical.
I could do that, apart from the other things.
It's not a Luscombe, Dave. But probably has similar handling.
It's probably got even less space than a Luscombe in it. Lastly, we came across this little video which is worth a watch. I think we got 20 or 30 seconds of it here. Just take a look at this in Iceland.
I'm not sure they've really thought about the forced landing options, have they?
No.
Well, they're in Iceland, so it's probably the same everywhere. It's just a bit warmer when you do it. If
That's
that was
it.
in the Isle of Wight, the restricted area would stretch all the way to Scotland.
It would.
But,
yes. Yeah. Well, that is surely something, isn't it? Flying around an active volcano.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Let's bring back Kirsty. We've reached the end of our thing, so it just remains for me to say thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Kirsty, for joining us. It's been fascinating. We need to get you along to one of our pilot career live shows. There's one in November. We'll talk to you about that. We've been doing them for 20 odd years, so
yeah, I read about them.
Great. Fantastic. And thank you very much for joining. Have a safe flight if you decide to fly on Monday. If you don't, fly later on in the week. Have a good one. And we look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 7:30. And don't forget, if you're not a member, you can join the Fly Club, £7.50 a quarter. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favour and subscribe, leave some comments, click the bell and all that stuff that they do on YouTube. Thank you very much, everyone. And thanks again, Kirsty. Thanks, Ed, Dave and Johnny. And see you soon.
Have a good week and fly safe, everyone.
Bye-bye.
If you fly.